There are a ton of staples in the Kamen Rider franchise. Big bug eyes, grasshopper antenna, belts, 2-episode arcs, and on and on. They all make pretty frequent recurrences in the franchise to the point where they are all staples of it, but they tend to still disappear from time to time just to spice things up. But there is one motif that recurs almost in every single season, and since it's been present since the beginning, I'm sure that it's not going away anytime soon. That motif is, of course, the infamous or famous Rider Kick, the finisher of every main Kamen Rider in some way or another. Today, I'm going to be ranking all 20 Heisei Rider Kicks, the 20 Rider Kicks if you will. Like the most recent ranking I've done, I'm going to be keeping things limited to the base form of the primary Heisei Riders, so I don't have to rank almost 200 Rider Kicks, and so this video is actually watchable. And this time around, I'm not going to be looking at an entire season. I'm pretty much just looking at the big over-the-top rider kick that the primary rider does in one of the first few episodes of their respective season. Maybe not their chronological first kick, but the one you see the most in later seasons, like Heisei Generations Forever, for example. The idea for this video was suggested by Johnson Games for the 10,000 subscribers special, and it was voted through by the rest of you guys to the number 2 spot, so now I'm looking at it today. Before I get into it, please remember that this is all my opinion. We're all going to have different opinions. We're probably all going to disagree, and that's what makes this so fun. So please don't be super toxic in the comments if someone disagrees with you with their placements. Also remember to follow me on Twitter and Discord if you want more interactions with me or more of my thoughts on everything. And enough of that. It's now time to get into ranking the 20 Rider Kicks. Bringing us in last place is Hibiki. Now, Hibiki actually doesn't have a rider kick in his season outside of a generic purple flame thing that he has in Heisei Generations Forever, which I think would also still be at the bottom, but I think it's only fair that we actually talk about his Ongeki finisher in the actual series. And at its most basic level, it's crazy and ridiculous because Hibiki is playing a giant drum, but since the season's motif obviously revolves around music, I think it does fit into that pretty well, and I like how the belt even plays a role in the attack by creating the actual drum Hibiki plays. But I guess I'm just a bit of a boomer and I prefer rider kicks over whatever this is. I'm not the biggest fan of how long it takes, but I don't think it's terrible. I just like the other kicks better. Moving the step up from a not rider kick is a very, very basic rider kick with Kamen Rider Kuga. I don't think there's really much going on with this kick outside of the actual impact with some Linto logo that I don't know what it means, but I think it's cool. I think this is certainly an instant classic, and I do really like this kick, but because there's just not really anything going on with it, I feel like it's only right that I put it a little farther down on the list. My favorite part of this next kick brought to us by Kamen Rider Blade comes from the mechanics of Blade himself. I really like that there's multiple variations of this kick because you have the cards that appear behind Blade when he absorbs them, and it's a cool way to demonstrate what form of the kick he's going to use, and I appreciate that they get absorbed in different spots based on kind of what they affect in the kick, and pretty much all the kicks use lightning, and I think that's really cool. I just think it was a pain in the ass to get all these clips because there's so many different versions of it. Aikido is another very, very simple kick, but what I really love about it is that there's just this slight change to the Aikido helmet where you got the fins, I don't know what to call these, they fan out and they change the look of his helmet ever so slightly, but it really ties into the Aikido symbol below him when he does the kick, and I just really like that there's a change when he does his rider kick. It's not even like a full form change, it's just the smallest thing, and I really like that. Much like the henshins of this series, Kabuto's actual rider kick is like extremely simple. It's just a roundhouse kick, but the small details in it are what I think takes it to the next level. The lightning that moves around up to the horn to make it glow is a cool aesthetical tie-in to show, hey, he's about to kick the crap out of someone. And I like that it then continues into the actual kicking of the rider kick to simulate all the power that he's releasing in this really badass roundhouse kick. Okay, so with Kamen Rider Ghost, the actual kick itself is alright, there's nothing that amazing, but what I really enjoy with this is the build up to his rider kick with these weird gang signs that Ghost throws up and then the giant eye that forms behind him. is a really cool effect, and it's a really cool model that I think ties super well into Ghost being, well, a ghost. And speaking of Ghost being a ghost, I really love then that when he does the kick, he unnaturally floats up into the air, right? Like he kind of jumps and then delivers the kick. It's really unnatural, and once again, it ties into him being a ghost, and I quite like that. Another excellent but insane tying of aesthetics into the Rider kick is Kamen Rider Double, because he splits in half when he does his Rider kick to effectively create a double Rider kick. That's pretty much the main part of this kick. I appreciate that what lifts Double into the air for his kick is a cyclone to fit into his whole motif and whatnot, but the actual kick, he splits in half. Come on, that's nuts. I love that. Now, Den-O's Rider kick is interesting because it's not in this series. I don't believe Den-O ever does a legitimate Rider kick in the season, so Decade has to drag his ass into a movie to do one, and as a result, we actually get a really cool kick. He basically does more roundhouse kicks like Kabuto, but this time he does multiple roundhouse kicks, and they flow really nice with each other, and there's all this lightning and smoke as well that makes the kick feel really dynamic. And also before the actual kick, when he does the Rider Pass scan, we got all these really cool abstract lines that are also present in the normal Den-O finishers, and I think that's a really cool build-up. I really like the effect of that. Alright, now let's move into something ridiculous again, because Build flies at the enemies on a graph. That's awesome. It's a really cool use of Build's character, not necessarily the aesthetics, the character and the ideas in the season, and we don't really see that too often. I'm lying a bit though, because we still get some aesthetics tying into the kick with the rabbit jump and the tank treads on the foot, tearing into the enemy of the kick, but like the actual way he kicks someone is he goes down the slope of a graph, and that's so fun. I really love that. Now, there's not really much to the Rider kick of Kamen Rider Guy, and that's because he only does it like once in the entire show, just as like one attack, but even though we get like nothing on it, I really do like it. The orange slices that travel with him as he delivers the kick is so fun, it's so stupid, I love it, and I like that when he actually lands the kick, they seemingly ooze out orange juice. It's so nutritious. This kick is both cool looking and nutritious. If you want to eat a Rider kick, be sure to eat Kamen Rider Gaim's Rider kick, because that is probably the most healthiest Rider kick. If you want to learn from a Rider kick, gotta learn from Build's because of the graph. This next Rider kick keeps into the aesthetics of Kamen Rider Wizard very well because it's so damn showy. The main thing I enjoy with this kick is the crazy backflips that he does before he delivers the kick. It looks great with Wizard's trench coat and a flaming leg, and adds a really different style to the Rider kick that you don't see with the others. But along with that, I really like the gathering of fire around his foot that stays there once again for the entire kick, and also ties into the magic gates of this season that are also used in the henshins. You have gates when he begins it on the floor, to the multiple rings in the final attack, and then the final one that seals the monster's fate. It really makes this kick feel unique to Kamen Rider Wizard, and I really enjoy it. This next kick has multiple parts. My favorite part is Dragetter's input on Ryuki's kick. The pre-kick, you just got it flying around Ryuki, and it's so badass. And then during the in-air shots when Ryuki's twisting, I love that Dragetter is used to hide the cut between Ryuki's kick poses. There's obviously a cut so he can take the actual pose, and I think that's really unique. It actually ties into probably the limits of the time when this was made. But then the actual dragon fire provided by Dragetter is an awesome touch to the Ryuki kick, and it makes it feel much more powerful than if Ryuki just kicked the bad guy. But what I do wonder with this is what would happen if Ryuki tried to do a kick without Dragetter? Would he even be able to do it? At number 8, we have Kamen Rider Faiz, and Faiz does it again. Right from the beginning, I love how there's a specific feature on the foot for the Rider kick that's activated from the awesome light effect of the suits. And then I love that it launches this weird tornado thing, kind of just to say like, here's where you're gonna kick, here's where you're gonna defeat the bad guy. And then when he actually connects with this tornado thing, he turns into just a spinning mass of light, I guess. Before the final disconnect, it has this fun glitch effect. I really love it. And then the explosion takes the form of Faiz's symbol. All of this together makes a really unique kick, and I think it flows together really well, and it's so cool to me. I really like all of it. Now we're going to move on from some technological stuff to some animal stuff, because Kamen Rider O's is based off animals. I don't know why I'm telling you this, you should know this. I really appreciate how this kick ties together the O's in O's, obviously beginning with all the colors radiating off the suit before the bata legs are incorporated by launching O's into the air. Then we have the taka wings that are activated to create a cool effect to the downward flight, and then the tora that doesn't really do anything. You kind of get the claws appearing briefly, I feel. Other than that, just to fit into the effect of the rings collecting around the feet as he falls through them, and then they explode into the O symbol. And I like this more than when Fies does it, just because you get those rings collecting around his feet as he does the kick, and it kind of feels like discharging this energy from the kick. So at the number 6 spot, there's not a lot going on with the Geo kick. You may be asking, then why is it so high up on the list? It's because once again, Geo's aesthetics come through and elevate the kick. Making the feet have the katakana for kick is a really cool touch. And then when you film the shot in a specific way with Geo's eyes, which say Rider in katakana, now you've got a literal Rider kick. That's awesome. There's nothing else to this kick other than that stupid small gimmick. But because I'm a fan of stupid small gimmicks, especially Geo's katakana stuff, I love this kick. Now we're gonna take stupid gimmicks and like ramp it up like all the way, because Forze's kick is so much fun, and it's because of stupid gimmicks. This is an amazing use of Forze's unique module aesthetics by having 2 different modules activated to accentuate the power of the kick. He's not just doing a rider kick. He's got this rocket blast that's launching him into the monster, and then you've got this actual drill on his leg to drill right into the monster. And it's a unique part I don't think any other rider kick really makes use of. Do any of them like drill into the monster like this? No, they don't. And because of that, Forze's is really unique, and I really love it for that. Stupid small gimmicks. Back to Kamen Rider Decade. He kicks through digital cards, which that alone is such an awesome idea, and it looks really cool because he kind of glitches through the cards, I guess per se. It looks really awesome, and especially the cards themselves kind of have some physics in them as they appear in front of Decade when he's on the ground, and then when he jumps up, they travel with Decade to form the path for his rider kick. But then the cherry on the top is the last second detail, like literal last second detail. Every card is the actual final attack or ride card, except the last one, which is Decade right before he does the kick pose, so it actually kind of looks like the card is coming to life and launching Decade at you from inside the card itself. Such a fun and awesome little detail, and I love it so much. No more stupid gimmicks. Kiva is a goddamn masterpiece in showing how you tie your aesthetic into a finisher. The kick form gimmick, in quotes, returns with one leg assuming an open state that is exclusive to this finisher, along with the fact Kiva just makes it nighttime, casually change the entire world to create what I can only assume is a Batman reference. If not, it looks like a Batman reference, so I really like it for that. And then he actually kicks the monster, but the actual destruction of the monster here is very pleasing to watch. First of all, he implants his symbol into the wall behind him, a little egotistical, but I'll let that slide as the monster explodes in a bunch of stained glass, which ties into a very small part of the Kiva aesthetic, which is really fun, but it also just looks awesome. I mean, it looks really cool, and it's really colorful, and just very pleasing to watch. It all flows very nicely into Kiva's aesthetics and with each other, but it's so over the top, and it's so awesome that I just had to put it at number 3. It's so cool. At the number 2 spot, ooh, X8's high up on the list. I hate X8. That's fine. Hate X8. I don't care. But X8's number 2 for me. And once again, it's because of the video game effects. Thank you, X8, for blessing the world with your video game effects. I love the colorful bolts and rays that appear before he actually does the kick, and during the kick actually as well. But my favorite thing ever with this is the text that pops up before the kick itself. It's in your face insanity, pretty much going, yeah, we're about to do the rider kick. What are you going to do about it? And it's in every rider kick. I know I wasn't going to talk about every finisher, but I just want to point out that this is for every finisher in X8, and I love that so much. But specifically back to the main kick, We also get a lot of hit effects that once again tie into X-Aid, and I love those as well. Now, the reason this isn't at number 1, I feel like I should point that out, is probably just because I really love the number 1 kick, but also because I don't really like the multiple kicks that X-Aid does. It's a little too far in the insanity direction, and I don't really like it. I feel it doesn't really drag the kick down for me. I just really love all the text and video game effects for this kick. At the number 1 spot, we're combining Kiva's badassery and X-Aid's insanity into Kamen Rider Drive's Speed Drop. First of all, I know all these other kicks have names, but I just want to point out Speed Drop is top tier pun. But then the actual kick itself is amazing. Starting it off by having tires just kind of envelop the Roid Mude is a great way to kind of clue you into the shenanigans about to go down, and also kind of ties into the weird pinball thing we've got going on. The Trideron comes in to complete this weird pinball thing we've got going on by driving around in a circle, and then we have Drive literally bounce off the Trideron and the Roid Mude over and over and over in a very destructive fashion, and it's honestly really fun to watch. It's so crazy. I love it. It's such an insane idea. It's literally a car season, and they were like, let's have the rider kick, and he just bounces off the monster in the car. It's so nuts. But then the actual final kick is no slacker, because it turns into the classic sidekick rider kick, but it's a really badass shot with the glowing eyes and obviously the Drive suit, which is itself very beautiful. And then the actual kick, and then Drive skids God knows how far, which not only ties into the aesthetic, I know I've said that multiple times, but it also kind of adds to the power this kick gives off. After the kick, he goes a very far distance as opposed to just stopping on the ground. So overall, combining the aesthetics and the actual kick itself and the insanity behind this, Drive's Speed Drop Rider Kick definitely comes in the number 1 spot for me. So that's my ranking of the main Heisei Rider Kicks. I feel like this list was a bit more difficult than the other lists because of how difficult it is to get some of this footage and the monotony of everyone doing basically the same thing. So sorry if this list is a bit shorter than they usually are, because I mean there's not that much to talk about in most instances. Regarding that difficult footage, a few of you actually helped me out with finding that, and it helped me a lot, so thank you guys so much for your assistance. As I mentioned previously, be sure to let me know your own lists or your favorites for Kamen Rider kicks, and be sure to check out some of the other 10k subscriber videos. Next time is the grand finale, so if you're interested in that and more Kamen Rider content, please consider hitting that subscribe button, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you for watching.